Hi, welcome to Barvotti's 60-second live screening of Tools for Creatives. I am Phoebe Bradbury, and today I will be demonstrating some of the tools I use every day in my artist studio. I wouldn't want to be without them, and I find new uses for them all the time. There will be promotional offers during the program, and the promo codes will be active during the demonstration and for about half an hour after. The current time is 12 noon Central, March the 18th. No, it's not the 18th, is it? Yeah, okay. 2022. Right now, the promotions are only available on amzn.to. Oops, goodness, I'm trying to get that to stop zooming automatically. How can I get it to stop? Brevin? It just keeps zooming in. Okay, I'm going to start anyway, even though I have to hold my finger down on the zoom thing to keep it from zooming in. I'm just showing you right now the piece that you just saw being made, and I have the 2-inch modeler there. I can tell that that's the one I used to make it, and that's the only tool that was used in the making of that. This is done on freezer paper, which means that one side is plastic and the other side is just a very thin paper. That means it's not archival, and so you can't really save it unless you put it in, digitize it or something like that. Oh, it stopped. All right, and so today what I'm going to do, if anybody was with us on Wednesday, you'll remember if you stayed till the end, we had what I thought was a pretty extreme failure of a poured painting. So we're not going to be doing poured paintings today. I attempted to set up a system this morning, and I've been doing a lot of research on it, and what I've realized is that when I was doing poured paintings 3 years ago, and did a lot of them, I had invested a great deal of time in making my own mixtures, my own pour mixtures and that kinds of things, and I have to spend that time right now before I show you another one and have a terrible failure. What I'm going to do is just go through and do a lot of different things that use these tools. Just bending over and grabbing it from under my desk. And some of the other tools, these ones here, these are our modelers. And because I'm I paint very large, I like to use these modelers a lot. And then we have what we call the shapers. And some people call all of them shapers, but we like to distinguish because the shapers, when they sell them, we sell them in sets like this. So they come in sets of 5. So we're going to play with the modelers, we're going to play with the shapers, and I'm going to just try to keep busy doing different things for the next hour. And we will work on butcher paper, we will work on Yupo paper. We probably won't do one of these, which is the one that we did yesterday, which is a gold or a metallic paint on top of scraped through with gold with using a tool that we'll use these tools that made this, but we won't make one of those simply because I don't have a black surface prepared, and it has to be prepared and dried before I can use it. And just to show you what tools these are, this is this tool, that tool, and these big rubbery. Was that the one I used, or did I? No. Anyway, it's this tool I think I used for this one. Or I might have used the new one, this one. Yeah, this is the one I used. So normally I use this great big one, but then I've got that little one there. So here's another example of where I've used the tool, this bigger tool, a few days ago on this one. So get a slightly different picture. And because I'm getting a little bit bored just doing swirls, I've started doing flat marks through that. So we'll play with some of that today. We'll play with using these tools. And we will also, we may look at different things throughout the day. So I'm just going to get started. And I'm just going to start. So I cleaned up some of my mixtures. Oops, am I in the middle? Oh, I'm getting so much better at getting in the middle. I really am. So I'm just going to bring it in a bit so we're not looking at the outside edges. And this is Payne's Gray, artist quality paint. And often when I throw a bit of paint out like that, that becomes part of the composition. So, and I'm getting more used to this now so that I don't end up with big masses of green paint, but occasionally I do. And, okay, where's my other colors? I don't think I bought them in here. I cleaned up a bunch of tubes, colors, and then I left them out by the sink. So my husband, who's my assistant and who's telling me when I'm in frame and out of frame, is running to get them. Wait a minute, there's one of them. Okay. So the other thing I'm becoming more conscious of is what colors I choose. I just used, at the beginning, I just grabbed some. And, now I realize that if I mix a yellow and a green on there, a yellow and a blue on there, I often end up with an overpowering green, which isn't my favorite. So here, you did find a couple of them. Great, thank you. I'm sorry, I did find the one I was particularly worried about. Super. It's good that I'm not here all by myself. Okay. So, where is this? I just want to show you what these tools are like. Nope, that's a 2.5. That's a 2-inch. So this is a 2-inch, one of our 2-inch tools. And it's, I don't want to go through and describe it while I'm working, simply because then it just becomes a description and the work looks terrible. But I'm just going to show you these two to begin with. This one was made out of one like this. It might have been one that had been damaged, but more than likely I used, because these very rarely get damaged. They've got nice sharp edges, and but when I want to make parallel lines or something a little different, I just go and make a tool out of one of them, and I have lots of them now because I've been fooling around with them here now for 60 days. And so the part that scrapes through, of course, is the hard edge, and then the paint is left between the edges. And that's the major thing that's happening in this one, which I just showed you, where so this edge goes right down to the black, and the gold, the three-dimensional gold, is sticking up through these little holes I've left there. Okay, so let's just play. Get a few things out so I don't have to reach and think too much. Oh, I think I have to use some of that. Sorry. When I start, I have to kind of pay attention to what my brain is. Well, let's say try to pay attention to what my subconscious is telling me, because I don't honestly think I'm there. So I've set myself up for green here, obviously, because I put some, that's a Indian yellow. And the reason I think it is called Indian yellow is because it originated, it's a very popular color in India, and it originated there. Okay. So one of the things I'm playing with here is that I've put a few colors down, and what happens when I scrape through them, just with the flat blade against the surface. And you can see it's pretty interesting. The blues get stretched out, and you can see this is their mass tone, and that's the color that it is when it's thinned out. this is, now when you see this Indian yellow, when I put it down, the mass tone is quite orange, but when you spread through it, it's quite almost a sunshiny yellow. This is a Payne's gray, so it's black. It's very much like an India ink, and artists often use it as a black in their paintings. So here I'm just going to go across like this and see what happens, because I'm quite fascinated by this. I often go too fast, so I don't actually do a good job of showing these things. So this is not a transparent color, and the other ones are. They're modern transparent colors, and that just means that instead of being made out of earth minerals and opaque things, they're made out of through modern chemistry, and that gives them, a lot of them become very, very transparent and very beautiful, and then they can be used for many different things. So I'm just playing with this, and just to show you how much fun these marks are, I'm going to take it and put it in the Payne's gray and come down here. Okay. I'm going so slow that I'm thinking too much. So here we go. So I don't want it to become just, I want the colors to stay separated, so I feel this is a bit unbalanced. Somebody tell me what I should do now. Take some of this yellow over here. Oops, see, that's the color that would come out if I had mixed this all up. I'm going to put some more of that yellow over there, like that. There's nothing that said, there's no rules. So you make the rules. And so that's what I love about these, about doing this. And this is, you might think, oh, this is a silly exercise. But this is actually the sort of thing I do when I'm, painting all day in my studio. I spend about an hour just warming up, doing things like this, just playing with my tools. And if I don't do that time, then I end up painting for the day, and I'm not happy with it. And then I really enjoy cleaning up, because then I can use all the leftover paints and stuff with no pressure. So you can see it's probably better to play before I do what I think of as my serious painting. Yeah. And then I get much more out of my work. So, okay, I like this black stuff, so I'm just going to, actually I'm going to take the biggest one. What's the one we're going out on, Previn, do you know?
We're going, Orange Regrets.
Orange Regrets, okay. The reason I'm asking that is that I've got another one that I like quite a bit, and it's called Blue Bridge, and I was just fooling around with this, and what happened is I ended up doing these marks like this, and I ended up liking it, which I hadn't liked it before that, so sometimes.
You can run it if you want.
Pardon me?
You can run it if you want.
No, it's okay. I think it's so much better than this one that I don't want to. I'm joking, actually, but there. So you can make all kinds of marks with this. I'm going to just now do a few. Do I want to? Okay. Do I? Not sure. I'm going to use something I'm used to using. So I do like the yellow. So, oops. So if I like the yellow, I got to make sure I use it and it moves. There. So this, you could look at this and say, too much? Too much. Or sometimes what I find when I think I've overdone it and I've done too much, I look at it the next day when it's dried and I like it. And I do like the big globby bits. So, oops, didn't expect to. And the lighter my touch, which sometimes it's actually very good, right now it's not. I could just grab something like that and just pull it over. I might use one of these other tools. A smaller one here. But usually, if I'm doing one of these, it's done very fast. Actually, let's just go like this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quit now because I think I'm making a mess. I'll have a look at this tomorrow. I can move my whole surface, but I'm just going to move the top one and we'll do something else. Okay, let's use some of the same colors. Okay, obviously liking that color today. And I think this blue. So we're on our way to maybe some red. No red. So when I say something like no red, does that mean there's not going to be red? No, it just means that I've thought about it and I'm not quite sure that's what I want. Okay. Let's see if I can go at this a bit faster. Oops. Oh, there's that blue. Okay. Managing quite quickly to dirty all my things without cleaning them. And one of the things I do like to tell people is they're very easy to clean. Should be clean them as I go. I normally have a bucket of damp, not soaking wet cloths, and today they're soaking wet. So when I squeeze them, this is damp. But as I'm going, I can usually just wipe them off and they're ready to go. They won't contaminate the next thing that I'm doing. And so let's see. Let's see if we can get something with this. Get the red. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape through. I'm getting the inevitable green. It's sort of almost like I have to get this fooling around bit, going slow bit done, and then then I can paint. So I'm genuinely not warmed up right now, and and I'm definitely looking for a decent rag to wipe these with. Could you get me some paper towel for them? Or there isn't any here. Okay. I don't usually use paper towel, but that's super, thanks. So what does this look like? It looks like kind of a mess, but what I can do here to resolve it a little bit, or to let you know how these work a bit better than I have been, is I can show you, like this great big 3-inch one, I can scrape off stuff. So that's what these tools are great for. If you want to clean up a painting that you don't really like particularly, and I'm often doing this for green, so I tend to get green, because I like yellow and blue, but not green. So you can see how effective that was at just cleaning that off. And it could have been, like if it was a big painting, it could have been more effective because I could have wiped between each thing. Wouldn't have had the little lines left, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to throw away that green because I'm going to just put it back, and I could try to make it into a prettier green maybe, or I think that might be a waste of good paint, but we'll just see. Nope, it's green. Because I have a white background and I'm actually going to be working towards the background, I'm just going to, I won't add white to it because that would just turn it into a mint color. It's a very boring color. So here I'm just wiping it with a paper towel, and not my usual. Let's see, but you can see you don't really need water to get them wiped clean, but as I try not to have too much water laying around here. So let's okay, let's do some of the marks you can make with this. So that's a mark you can do with that thing. You can do this, and then go across like that. And then if you want to, when you're doing stuff like that, so this is a little bit reminiscent of those gold paintings. You can see I've got this mass of spaghetti here. Paintings, okay, so you think, oh, well, that's not a painting, that's kind of boring. Yeah, that's great, it's all right. But then you can go in and you can do other designs on top of that, like, and then it becomes a little more interesting. Now you've got a foreground and a background. And the background is the spaghetti, and of course the foreground is the stuff you've put on top of it. And the stuff you've put on the very top, like for example here, so you get quite a lot of dimensionality through it. So now I'm starting to relax a little bit. This is better, okay. So even though this is green, I do like it quite a bit. I as an abstract painter, my favorite themes tend to be grids, and not always, if you look at my work, but I do like working with grids and lines, and so something like this, it's just fun to do. And I'm going to take this one off, and it's done. So, and I'm not going, oh, I've got another piece of paper under there, good. I found that for demonstrating, it works a lot better to have sort of a system to be able to change whatever it is I'm working on very, very quickly. So let's do something that's definitely not green. Don't add blue to this. I mean, don't add yellow to this, Phoebe. Let's add some, oh, is that Mediterranean? This, I think, this is, it's ultramarine blue. And ultramarine blue makes beautiful, let me think, I think it does a good job with this. This is, I'm trying to think of the name, it is a professional color, Naphthol Red Crimson. Ooh, and it's very tight. So what we should hope to get from this, if I can squeeze it out, is some pretty purples, or some attractive purples maybe. Maybe not pretty. I know Naphthol Red mixed with Hansa Yellow is supposed to give, I'm not going to put yellow in there. I'm not going to do that. Caught myself. It's supposed to make a quinacridone red, or something very similar to quinacridone red, at least that is according to a chart I have from Golden for mixing colors. Golden has wonderful charts for how to mix colors you don't have. Okay, let's just see what happens here. It's just blue. It's not purple. That's good, because it should be blue the first time. So this is a ultramarine blue. So it's not a greeny blue. It's more like a navy blue. Okay. Now we should be able to get some purpley tones here out of some of these. Well, I can mix it and see if we can get a purple tone. So I'm mixing the colors here, and then I'm going to spread it out. So that's sort of a purple. Well, that was fun. I'm really missing the yellow. So that's a very dark purpley thing, and look at how browny it's starting to look now when I do this. So this is just playing at this point, not trying to make anything. Takes the pressure off if you're not trying to make any, wonderful things. So I've done my usual, which is all the paints are all now mixed together, but they aren't quite, because if you see here, I scraped down them. And because it's on such a slick paper, because it is a plastic, it's not going to adhere down. And if you were working on something like a linen or something like that, some of those colors would be down there already. These, if I let this sit for half an hour, when I scrape through, you would get a lot of colors underneath. But now, most of them will come off the top. So you can see you can make a lot of really fun stuff like this. Let's scrape off the sides. So, and it doesn't have to be any color at all. So let's just take this lovely color here. Now, I know it's not a lovely color. It's like a dark brick red, but it's quite dramatic when you scrape right through to the surface like that. So you can make your own sort of movements, your own type of signs. Especially if you worked on it as often as I have, which is probably 3 hours a week. I've been working on these now for 60 shows. So I'm just making sort of repetitive movements. It's a little movement I like. It's like making a little flag or something like that. And what makes this interesting, probably more interesting than some of the things that I try to do something, is that I'm not really trying. And I'm not measuring. Okay, and that line is not right. But that's just to give you an idea, and anybody can do that. Probably you might be able to learn to do it a lot faster than I did. I'm an artist, but it took me quite a while before I started to, of demonstrating this, before I started to get the same or very similar pictures to it. Let me just grab another piece of this. Now, because I've been hankering about this red and yellow, I'm going to see if I can make, I'm going to use, I think this is this one. This yellow, it's a Hansa yellow. I don't have much in here. Ooh. Let's see, how much do I have? Oh, I have a bit. Okay, I want to use the Hansa yellow. I'm just going to see if what I read in in the golden chart, if it's true. Is this going to look? I don't think it's going to look like that color, quinacridone red, because I do have a quinacridone red here. This is not a golden color, but it is a quinacridone red, and I don't think that is going to make that. I think this is going to make orange. And it could be that I misinterpreted the, I'm just going to mix it a little bit, so I'm just going to use one of these smaller tools. Oops, actually I shouldn't be using those. Sometimes I grab the tools I'm demonstrating with, the really nice ones, and then they no longer can be used for demonstrating because they're all mucky. So this is one of my shapers. So we'll see what we get here. Oh, wait a minute. I think I forgot. They didn't say you make it from, I think you make it from magenta and yellow. I don't think they use naphtha red. I will check that. I don't have it with me right now. I did have it a few minutes ago, though. But I will check that. So I think I'm going to check and see if that yellow. So this is also not a golden color. It's a different color. And maybe it was now that's not going to make red. That's going to make, oh, that's got a bit of magenta in it, which is more like a little blue. So I planned on doing a little bit of, color mixing here. Didn't actually plan on doing it this way. But you can see that this naphtha red is now more like a scarlet or an orange red. These are, I think this is a quinacridone red from, so to me that looks blue. And if I add yellow to it, that turns, so it depends on which paint person. I usually buy my paints where it's pretty much, I know that the paint are made, that the specific paints I'm using, I can look up the number and I know how they mix, I know what's in them, that sort of thing. And that's generally true of the paints that I use. The best one for doing that is golden. If you have golden paints, or even if you don't have golden paints and you want to learn about colors, if you go to their website, you can pick a color and it will tell you exactly what chemicals are used in that color and whether they're transparent or not transparent. So I was looking up a couple of these just a few minutes ago before the show, and this Indian yellow shows up. Some of the blues show up, and some of the blue-greens show up. Now, I don't think this is going to turn into a pretty picture, but let's just do a little fooling around with marks. Here. Ooh, those are pretty. Yeah, so am I on? Okay, good. So you can see where there's a lot more yellow in it, and you can also see where the magenta is up here. And so one of the paintings that I've done, I think I can go out that way, that I've been really quite happy with, is this is a quick one. It's called Flamingo Land. Have we got that one available to show people?
Yes.
Yeah, we can show them how to make that one. This is on Yupo paper.
Okay, you wanna run it?
Yeah, okay. Spread up about 5 times. I don't actually paint quite that fast. I wish I could, but I don't actually. So I've spread this out just to show you some of the marks that I made on there. And that particular painting was, I had done it from this very small card on Yupo paper, and I'd just done it by playing around. And then I eventually did it in the larger one, and it looked like flamingos, and that's why it got called Flamingo Land. And that's going to be sold on, what is it called? Abstract Art Canada. I'm going to be sending it there in a little while. I won't send it there, I will send them my image, and then if anybody wants it, I will send it to them. So I'm just going to go over some of the marks that I made there, because that might be interesting, rather than me trying to just do it. I can pretty much go back to that. So that's the flamingo neck, and I went through it a couple of times. By the way, I didn't call it Flamingo Land until after I had seen it. I looked at the colors, the color was the right color, that sort of thing. And so that's what I did. And so it was something very similar to this. And then I put lines across. And then I probably did a few other, no, with that one I didn't do a few other things. With this one, so I did work the theme several times. And this theme of the flamingos is done with the quinacridone red plus gold. And that's why it has, when I turn, the reason I'm sort of turning it, you can see the metallic. Okay, so how am I doing here? Okay, so the other thing I could have done here, and I'm just going to do it one more time because just to show you how easy it is to play with this, and especially on this butcher paper. And then I'm going to do a couple, maybe one or two on the on regular paper, just for today. Okay, so that's that. So what if I want to have a background to it that's just like, you know, something like that. Just sort of wiggly lines. And I'm being lazy here, so instead of drawing each line individually, I'm relying on my parallel line maker. I'm going to dip it in the water there. And so now that is really boring, right? So, but now I've got that background, and which I didn't have before. I think I'll use this one. See, 2 inches a little smaller. I should put this down so I've got myself balanced properly, and I start off the paper and so you can see here I now have a background to my work. If you take my work to be here instead of all the way around, so I've got this sort of netty baskety stuff, and then I can go like that.
Say thanks to Louis for following.
Thank you for following, Louis. I really appreciate it. So when I'm relaxed, I can do stuff like this. So the next one I'm going to do it on the paper, but I'm going to get Previn to just quickly show you what you can do with the different types of things where you can use our products. And I'm going to set up for a Yupo paper demo on next, okay? I'm back, yeah. So here I have a piece of Yupo paper. And in case you don't know what Yupo paper is, it's a archival plastic paper, which means that, I'm just going to make this a bit smaller so you can see the whole thing. It's an archive, so that if I do work on this, I can sell it, and without copying it with I always take a digital image of my work anyway. But lately I had never before taken digital images of work I'd done on, butcher paper or freezer paper, because I didn't normally work on it. But this is archival. If we like the product, if we like it, we can keep it. If we don't like it, we can do something else with it. And this kind of paper, especially when it's fresh with acrylic paints, you can. I'm just looking for a little tool to get this stuff out. But
say thanks to Sam for following.
Oh, Sam?
Tam. Tam. T-H-A-N.
Oh, thanks, Sam, for following. I do appreciate the follow, and I'd love to have comments or questions. No. So what I've put here is a red, thick, gooey, very similar to what I did with the, it's very similar to the paint that's in here. It has a bit of metallic in it. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to mix it right there, on there, and then we're going to play with it. So I think maybe I should warm up before the show, because the first 20 minutes sometimes they're a little rough. So I'm just adding some pure gold. No, this is a gold metallic paint, and it's coming out. And you might. I'm going to show it to you a little closer. So it looks a little pasty, and certainly the red stuff looks a bit pasty. But when it's dry, it looks very shiny. Oops, that's too far. See how the stuff on the black surface there? That's very shiny, and it's not a dull color. And that's because the medium that's behind it is clear. And when it dries, when it's wet, it's like toothpaste, and when it dries, it goes absolutely clear. And that's why it's so much fun. Okay, so let's... Ooh, look at that.
You're very close in.
Hey, I'm too close. You can't see it. I've got it too close in. Here we go. A little bit out. So I'm quite surprised, I shouldn't be, that the gold isn't totally mixed in, but that's kind of the beauty of it in this case. And if I put too much on, in this case, I can just scrape it back into the jar when I'm finished. So better to have more than you need, and a jar waiting to put the leftovers in. And that's kind of how I've been working now for quite a few weeks. When I use these, the metallic, oh, I love that color. When I use these metallic colors, I use that. I save them. I'm actually a fairly frugal painter. I do like to buy the very best if I can afford it. And if I can't, I look up ways to... I can either... I look up ways to make it less expensive. One of the examples is pouring mediums. I just have to get that off of there, and I have to get this clean. So when you're using pouring mediums, which is another technique, you can buy very expensive pre-made ones, but then they're sort of made for everybody. Or you can learn how to make your own pouring mediums, and then you can make them exactly for yourself. And that's what happened to me, is that when I did do pouring a few years ago, I did make my own. But now there's so many available. I'm still trying to make my own, and I'm getting closer and closer. It's just that I'd kind of forgotten how exactly to do it, so that's why. So this looks like what? Okay, not much happening here, but we're going to see if we can do something similar to that. Okay, so I might put a bit of a, I've got this tool here. It's a little grubby. I'll show you, oops, I'll see if I can get it right in front. It's a little grubby because I used it earlier, but I have washed it, so it's got no paint residue. The reason I like it is because I did take the time to be very careful about making the things. I'm usually not that careful and have things that regular, but I did on this tool. And this isn't quite as good as our regular modelers, because it's not quite as flexible, and it's getting a bit old. But I like the mark I made on it, so I'm going to use that a bit here, just to give some background. Sometimes it's hard to fill in the edges with this stuff, so I'm just going to do this, and we'll see. This is just the beginning, and probably none of this will remain, but it might. Okay, take this off of here. Oops. Okay, and so I'm just going to try and make those swirly marks. Ooh, it's way too, oh, it's not too bad. So I wouldn't be able to make those funny marks behind if I hadn't done that first. So now, for me, it's going too much that way. So I like this mark where I go like this, this, and this, and this. But now it's sort of it's not too bad actually. It's very hard to tell when it's sitting against what you've laid on the table. So is that done? It's very three-dimensional. It might be quite nice when it's done. Let's see. I think I'll leave it. Okay, so I'm going to put it down somewhere. Where can I put it down? Now I'm going to show you what I do for all of the stuff that there's a fair bit, where is it? There's a fair bit of stuff, gel sitting on the side here. So I'm going to just scrape that up. Oops. And put it away for the next time. Now, it's not that expensive because even though you're using metallic paints, which aren't more expensive than other ones, because it's a different process. There's actually no color in metallic paints. It's just little flecks of metallic stuff put in a clear gel. And you can actually add quite a lot of clear gel, which is very inexpensive compared to the paint, to the metallic paint, and it still looks really vibrant. Like I add almost 10 times as much gel as I do, and my paints, oh, there's one. I've got them in plastic here, but you can see the colors are very vibrant. They don't look like they've been diluted or anything. So that's just a trick. If you're going to use it, if you're going to do those things, add lots of gel. And it's just an acrylic gel. And it's three-dimensional. It's not terribly expensive. And they call it gel, so. Where's my lid? Okay, this has a lid to it, and it will have a lid on it shortly after the show, but I don't know where it is right now. Okay. Wipe these off. And we can do maybe another one. But the thing about using, I'm going to have to put a new background in it. Let's put a new one. Let's get some more here. Oops, those are all gone. Let's do another. I think I had a blue mixed up once. Oh, actually, I did have blue mixed up. But unfortunately, I left it all open. So I'm going to do one with the dull gold, but I'm going to add some blue to it. See, so you can see once again the gold is very dull. Oops, oops, oops. And I didn't add quite as much. And if I add blue, I have to add very light. Oh, no, actually, no, it's not such a problem when I'm doing it against, okay, I want to add this blue. I think this is phthalo blue. Yes, it is. Okay. I mislabeled this bottle as an ultramarine blue. And they're both transparent. Ooh, that's quite dark. They're both transparent blues. But phthalo blue is more transparent. So this sort of looks like a dull, let's see, how do I say it? Sort of like a dull blue pasty color. It won't dry that color. It should dry a very shiny dark blue when it's done. So this will not be, I'll see what I can do with this one. So I'm going to, okay, I'm not using my other ones that much, so I'm going to get this stuff off.
You can push the paper up a little bit.
Yep, thank you. Is that better? Okay. So blue can also be mixed. There's other colors, like I sometimes mix it with stainless steel or silver. It's very pretty with those. With this, it sort of gives this, because it's gold, it's sort of a yellow, not quite green, thank goodness, but it's sort of a yellow tinge. So I'm going to show, I think I have one here. Oh, here it is. Might try to do something like this, which I like quite a bit. And this was just done this is like one of those accidental paintings where you relax, and because you relax and you've got nothing on the line, then you get something you really like. So here, and it basically was, I was just underpainting for actually one of those gold things and had to do another layer. And then I just decided to play with it a bit. And so that's what I did. And I liked what I did there, so I kept it. Here we go. So this should end up quite a bit darker. And I'm not sure. I've got gel on this, so in that case it's a little bit different than what I was doing here. So let's just play. So the thing to remember about these ones is what it looks like now, it won't look like later. Most of the time it looks better because the colors intensify, and the colors intensify, and the sheen comes out a little bit if you're doing that. So where's my other thing here? So for me, this is just like playing with. Oops, that's too much there. I'm trying to make it look random. Not always the easiest thing to do. Should go right through there. Yeah, anyway. So some of these have even bumps, and some of them are very weird. Like, well, that one's pretty even, but it's smaller. I have one I like a lot, and I made it early days, and it's very uneven. So I don't really know if I need to use it anywhere. It's hard to tell with the background there because actually I like this all right. Okay, so when you look at me doing this sort of things, you've got to remember that I'm a person who likes repetitive patterns, which you might not like. I gotta get that. And I also tend to like squares and grids and stuff like that. It's not all I like, obviously, but when you see the different kinds of marks that these tools can make, they're just amazing. And the more you play with them, the more you can make. And now I think I'm going to put this down somewhere. I better put it on something dry. Oh. So I'm just going to take a second here. What was I going to do? Oh yeah. I just want to take a second to talk about somebody who's been around painting a bit, and about the fact that I'd like to do a little bit more work with children painting. Because I did have an art school for children, and actually people of all ages in Canada. It's called Studio Art School. You can find it, you can find it if you look on Facebook/Studio Art School. So you can see actually our things are, our live shows are shown there, and also some of the work that the children did a few years ago when we were in Canada. So we're going to be reviving the Studio Art School. And we show our stuff there. You've got the real picture? That's her. That's Marina. And she lives next door to us. I'm actually looking, if I look out the window, I can see that I'm looking at exactly that picture of her, like that's the direction. So we're on the second floor and looking down across, it's the back part of her yard. She lives on a beach property with her parents. They look after a beach property. And so she comes over and does art with me, or has done it a couple of times. And I think she's 6 years old. She's going to school, getting back after COVID. You can see her little COVID mask under her chin there. And I just want to show you one of her pictures she did for me when she got her new kitten. Can you put it there? Oh, there it is. There's Marina. So I gave her a piece of this waxed paper, and this is a photocopy of it, but I think it is. Yeah, it is a photocopy of it. She gave me the original too. But this is her new little gray kitten, which is probably about 6 months old now. And she never had a cat before. And this is the drawing, and I just thought how wonderfully well she has captured the feeling of the cat. And this girl doesn't need lessons. She needs paper and tools to crayons and stuff like that, and ideas. Anyway, she did this, and it was just wonderful. I don't know she told me what this stuff was here. It might have been some of the things that are outside, but I forget now, but it does mean something to her. And so what I like about seeing other people's art, especially children's art, because for me it's a view into their world or how they see the world. And in this world, she loves this cat. She thinks it's cuddly. She knows it has stripes and whiskers and a little chin and a nose, and I think that might be its tongue sticking out. And I just think it's an adorable picture of a cat, and it tells me how Marina feels about her cat. So with that, I think we are just about done. I'm going to just... Anything else, Preben? No? Okay, good. I'm just going to say, okay. Thank you for joining us today. And you can find us here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Central to do demonstrations and answer your questions. If you'd like to share your art on the Facebook page that I told you about, that would be great. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Monday.